What's up you guys, it's Joelle. Welcome back to another video. It has been a while since I just sat down and talked to you guys, so this feels good. But I'm here at my little apartment in New York City. I like how the focal length of this camera makes my room look so much bigger. Wow. I just want to talk a little bit about my internship. I'm getting a lot of questions since posting vlogs about it and posting about it on my Instagram story and that sort of thing. So I wanted to just talk a little bit about how I got it, what I've been doing and what it's been like, and then also future career goals. And if you're new here, feel free to subscribe, join the J team where no one's a bench warmer, everyone's a playmaker. And I post a lot of videos about college, life advice, travel, lifestyle in general, that sort of thing. So if you'd like more of that, feel free to come on back. First things first, how I got this internship. I applied to a bunch of internships, all in film and media, since that's what I wanted to go into. I applied last year for last summer, like summer of 2018, and I applied again for this summer. I got literally nothing. Summer of 2018, I applied to the exact same internship at Viacom or Nickelodeon. I applied to a bunch at like Disney, Pixar, whatever, which I knew I probably wasn't gonna get, but I also applied to places like Lionsgate, smaller independent film companies, all this sort of thing. A lot of it is just cold emails and Google search because my school does not have a lot of resources for internships in film and media. However, there is so much information online. If you're interested in a career in film and media, Google search, use your resources. There's so much out there on, you know, career boards and stuff like that. You just have to go for it. A lot of these big studios have internship programs, so apply to a lot of those. And Viacom's is really huge. As I mentioned in my day in my life vlog, they own Nickelodeon, Comedy Central, MTV, all this stuff. So you apply to a few like a little more curated roles, and then they sort you into which brand they think that you do well in. So you rank and prioritize what you like, and then throughout the interview process they talk to you about what is available to you and what your options are. So big reason why I ended up working at Viacom was this is the only company that got back to me, you know, in a timely fashion. I did not hear back from any other big companies that I applied to except for Lionsgate, and that was in a distribution role, which I wasn't as interested in since I want to be a little bit on the more creative side, though wouldn't be opposed to anything at this point, let's be real. They didn't get back to me till way later, and I also heard back from the smaller companies based in the Bay Area since I would love to be there, but they didn't get back to me very quickly at all either, and it was all very up in the air. So Viacom was super timely. They clearly had a hiring cadence, and they were very official about how they were reaching out to me. So I really appreciated that. I applied, I want to say starting in like December, January. I just sent in my resume and a cover letter, and they got back to me, and one of the HR reps reached out to me, and that was my first round interview over the phone, probably in like late January, early February. And then after that I had 2 subsequent interviews with people on the team that they were looking to sort me into. So through that first interview they were like, hey, like, you applied for this, we don't think you're super qualified for that, cry cry cry, and this other thing that you want we actually don't offer anymore as an internship, cry cry cry, but there's this dope opportunity on the YouTube strategy and development team, and we think that you'd be a good fit for that because YouTube. So thanks you guys for helping me get this internship. So after that I was like, okay, yeah, sure, I'd be happy to continue on. Got sorted, got a second round interview with my current manager, who's wonderful, and then a third round interview with another woman that I'd be working under a lot, who's not technically my manager, but she's awesome. Another, I guess, kind of mentor and superior that I work with a lot. It was a quick Skype/phone interview for all 3 of those, probably like 20 to 40 minutes, and this was actually my first formal interviewing process ever. All my other internships have been like so casual that they just like kind of talked to me, and it wasn't really an internship. But they asked me a lot of questions like biggest strengths, biggest weaknesses, a time where I was challenged as a leader, generic stuff like that. And then as I went on, it was more questions focused on like what makes a good YouTube video, like what do you like to see on the internet, and what do you think is important for making good content, and that sort of thing. I really didn't practice at all for these interviews. I should have, but I just had no idea what to expect because I'd never done like a film or entertainment interview before. So I really winged it. I would not recommend that. Like those questions that I just mentioned definitely have good answers for all of those. Thankfully I was able to kind of come up and like piece together answers for all of those, but I was just like, I don't know, I guess this. Bleh. after having gone through that, I'm like, oh well, now I know what my answer would be if I actually took the time to think about it. But after that, it was kind of like 1 to 2 weeks between each interview, and then a week after that I found out that I did get the position, and I had a week to respond, and I think within a few days I accepted formally. And I was super excited to have a job at Nickelodeon. Like, that's so cool. You always grow up hearing about Nickelodeon. And it was just like a really surreal experience. To give you guys a little more background on what I had done previously in order to be eligible for this internship, obviously my YouTube channel, I'd worked in social media for some ministries, like church related. I also have worked on like independent documentaries. I've worked on some smaller indie films doing stuff like casting, but it was a good experience. Like, I clearly had administrative skills. I study econ, film, and digital arts, and those three kind of set me up nicely to have a good background for YouTube related stuff and like industry related stuff with my econ background. I'm trying to think of what else I've done that would be helpful for you guys to know, and I really haven't done that much. I think the biggest thing was having a strong background in the YouTube channel. It really was, at the end of the day, I think for me to get this internship, God. I say this all the time, but literally I've had so many opportunities that I wasn't expecting or quite qualified for, and I really do think it was God who brought me there, like for real, 100%. So thank you, Jesus. He will pull through for me for all future endeavors. But yeah, always have to give credit where it's due. Moving on into what I actually do in my daily life, I mentioned a little bit in my video that a lot of what I do is maintaining documents and schedule of the posting. Nickelodeon manages 5 different YouTube channels. I have jurisdiction over about 3 of them, and I manage calendars and briefs, which is like the requests for videos. We do a lot of brainstorms for future content and planning, a lot of feedback because we actually don't make the videos. We plan and pitch ideas, and then we help the creative team that actually makes them optimize for the YouTube platform. So really everything that we contribute creatively is like an initial idea, because like XYZ is working well on YouTube, and then we can give notes based off of what would be best for searchability, suggested videos, anything like that. And then I go to a lot of meetings, mostly to sit in and be able to learn from them and understand how the systems work at Nickelodeon. And there's a lot of little tasks that I do that some might consider like busy work or annoying. It's a lot of like maintaining spreadsheets or updating with content that we've posted, but really it's to help track everything that we do. It needs to be hyper organized because Nickelodeon is managing so many different channels and posting so much content daily, like literally 2 to 3 videos on just the Nick channel, and then there's 4 other channels that they're posting to, so it's a lot. So my day-to-day really can change depending on the type of assignment I'm on. Oh, I also work like literally, I have access to the Nickelodeon YouTube channel. Isn't that so cool? But I get to help optimize metadata and like update descriptions and stuff like that. Yeah, that's like kind of what I do. A lot of my time is at the computer, but I really do enjoy being able to sit in on meetings or meet up with coworkers and brainstorm. The company culture, I think, is one of my favorite parts of working at Viacom. I say Viacom because though I'm on the Nickelodeon floors, I get to interact with people from MTV, Comedy Central, BET, Viacom Corporate, and all that. So I really get to see across the spectrum of the different brands in Viacom, and everyone I've met has been so amazing and helpful and supportive of what I want to do, which has been just a great part of this experience. And this is where I'm really like, wow, God, you really pulled through, because he brought some fantastic people into my life that have been helping me figure out what I want to do next. Which leads us into the last question. Joelle, what are you doing? What are your career goals? How does this fit in? Great question. All my life sounds dramatic, but ever since high school I really wanted to be in film production as probably a creative producer, creative executive, ideally for family-friendly content. I love animated stuff. I love anything that Disney does. People hate on Disney, but I love Disney, like including Marvel, Lucas. I just think that they hit this amazing sweet spot of content that's relatable for not just kids, it's appropriate for kids, but also like parents can see it and not necessarily feel like they're watching a kid's movie, like it still resonates. And I really think that having that broad of a reach is so important for the messages that you're giving out to these little kids, because these are the heroes that they look up to, and this is largely what my goal is in media, is to be able to have a hand in creating kids' childhoods and instilling in them values and letting them know that they're important and accepted whoever or wherever they are. So that's like at the core of my like drive to be in media. A lot of that comes out in what I do on YouTube and like sharing my stories and being really unapologetic about being like this Christian Asian Bay Area Ivy League student and just being authentic and being me, because that's all I have. But in terms of what I want to do specifically, that's gotten a lot harder for me, because though I want to be a creative executive, creative producer, no one starts there. There's so many different ways to get there. I could go the agency route, I could go just like PAing, work my way up, I could start a smaller company and then transition horizontally into a bigger company, or I could try to work my way up the studio ladder, or what my ideal dream goal is, and I'm just putting it out there even though it's scary and I don't like saying this out loud because it's just so unlikely, is that I would love to be able to pursue being on-screen talent for a little bit. See, I feel like it sounds really, I feel like this sounds really stuck up because I'm like, basically I want to be famous. I want to have a following. I want to be able to be myself on screen and share people's stories, talk to people, relate to people. Whether that starts out like on the web, like at a place like BuzzFeed if you're hiring, and then moves into like big screen hosting events or a talk show or something like that. That would be amazing, and I would love that so much, just because I really love working with people and being able to share not only my own story but other people's, and like bringing them into that. I think that's so fun and so cool. And I don't know, when I was little I really wanted to be an actress and I just felt like I wasn't good at it, so I just dropped that, and I knew that I couldn't abandon my education to act, so I just gave that up entirely. And I think now as I'm older I'm realizing part of me still really wants to pursue being on screen. The trouble with that though is that I want to do that and I also want to produce, and it's so rare to be able to like get credible enough in the on-screen world to be able to cross over and produce. But I don't know, I think God has a way. That's what I'm telling myself now. But it's tough. There are two things that don't necessarily come together, but it requires being like the best at both, and I really need to hone those skills on either side to be able to do a good job, because ultimately I just want to do a good job of whatever I'm doing. But I would say all in all, like, these are things that I'd really like to do, but at the end of the day what I know is like ultimately going to bring me fulfillment is being able to pursue what God has for me. And if that looks completely different, I'm going to do that. If that is just a total deviation even from media and film, sure, though I feel like God's like put me here, so that's why I feel good about pursuing this. I would love to be able to be in those spaces that are really volatile emotionally and like mentally. It's hard to be out there, it's hard to be famous or powerful and not go astray. I know that like at the end of the day I just want to stay centered on God, and that is what is going to prevent me from falling off in all these crazy ways. So whatever work God puts me in, that's what I'm gonna take, and that's what I'm gonna know is best for me, like emotionally, spiritually, and also in terms of like learning and contributing to the world. So in a nice way that like takes some pressure off. And I know this isn't necessarily relatable for a lot of you guys because it is really wacky to hear someone, especially my age and my demographic, like rely on God for this sort of thing. But truly, like, this industry is so insane. I would not dare go into it and like put myself, my family, my loved ones at risk without like the security of God. So that's my little spiel on that. But yeah, so that's basically the gist of what I'm doing this summer and where I would like to go. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing a little bit about my wild career goals, and these are all subject to change. Who knows what's gonna happen in the next 2 years. If you have not yet subscribed, again, please feel free to do so. Yeah, love you guys so much. Jesus loves you, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.